Hey guys! So today I wanted to do a video doing my first monthly wrap-up, and I'm also going to be doing my monthly hopefuls. So all in one video. The way I'm going to be doing this is in categories, I guess. So I'm going to be talking about the books I read and the books I want to read, and then manga, anime, and then we'll talk about games. I'm going to see if maybe I remember to put the timestamp, so if you want to just bounce around between them, or you're only interested in manga or books or whatever, I'm going to put the timestamps in the description. We're going to start off with manga. I actually did not read too much manga this month, but technically I read a lot. This is everything I read as far as manga for this month. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have talked so much about this series. I've also made so many posts, so many videos about it, so I won't say too much. But I've read the first 3 omnibus of The Climber. This series is amazing. If you've seen, I've loved this series so much. I've hopefully gotten a lot of people to read it, at least think about reading it. If you're not one of those people, you should. So I'm very excited about it. This is 1, 2, and then 3. I have volume 4 waiting for me at the library, or not waiting for me. I'm still in line to get it. It has not moved. I'm still second in line to receive it. I think it's lost. I don't think the library has it anymore, or the person that had checked it out still has it and they're going to keep it for a while. They're not planning on bringing it back, or maybe they're going to bring it back very late. Regardless, it's been a long time. It's been longer than it should have been checked. I should be at least next. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna get up to this next month, and then if after that I still don't have volume 4, I'm gonna buy the series. Hopefully I get volume 4 before then, but also I don't mind having an excuse to buy this. For my manga hopefuls for the month of March, I'm gonna first talk about the monthly manga pick for Chapter 0 book club, or Chapter 0 manga club. Super cool club, awesome. I'm gonna be tagging the manga guy down in the description. If you want to join, he's your man. The series that we're gonna be reading this month is Planetus, I believe is how you say it. All I know is this guy is basically gets a job to be a space garbage man, or a garbage man on a space mission team, and you just follow his team on this mission. There's probably a lot more to it. That's all I've looked into it. I don't need much to know about a series to want to get into it. I like going into my series blind, so that's all I know about this. I'm very excited. It looks very cool. I believe some of the members have already started, and from what I've heard, it's so worth the wait, because I've been waiting for weeks now, and I've had to like stop myself from reading this because it's a great club, great discussion, so I've been really wanting to hold back to talk about it with everyone. But these covers are just so incredibly beautiful. For the covers alone, I wanted to buy it, but I stopped myself. I need to actually read it and see if it's something that I'll reread before I buy it. I've actually been doing really good when it comes to not like just buying anything and splurging, so the covers on this series really tested that. So that's the first thing. Another thing that I'm hoping to read this month is Bleach. This is just the next omnibus I have to read. I'm on volume 16. I decided to start collecting the omnibus because Bleach is a series I love. If you've seen my last video about my top 10 anime series, Bleach is a series that has been with me for a long time, and it has been my like pillar to what good anime is, or what a good series is. So I decided to finally start reading the manga instead of rewatching it, and I've been loving it. I've been having such a different experience than I had watching it. I still get like that nostalgic feeling, but at the same time I'm having this completely new perspective. When I watched it the first time I was a child, so now being an adult, it's just so much, the world feels so much bigger, the situation or the characters feel so much bigger, so I'm really enjoying it. And I decided to finally go ahead and start collecting it because this series means so much to me, and I'm a sucker for a thick floppy book, so I decided to get that. But yeah, I have this one. I also have the next one, and I have like the first and second omnibus. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll get like everything that was before this one and between the second one eventually, but I'm just gonna go along with what I have to read. So hopefully this month I actually get to focus on it. I've been wanting to do it. I was supposed to do it in February, but this is the month. My next manga series that I want to get to this month is called Veil. I believe it has like another name. So the next series I want to read, I don't physically have. I have the first volume at the library waiting for me. That one I do have waiting for me. But just the first volume, I don't think my library has any of the other volumes. So if I really like it, I might end up either finding it online to read somewhere or buy it and then return it. It's called Veil Body Temperature of Orange. Something like that, I'm pretty sure. I just know it as Veil. So I don't know too much about this. I've actually been seeing this come out since the first volume was out for pre-order, and I haven't really been interested in it, but to be completely honest, I saw the covers of, I think the 5th one is coming out, or the 4th one is coming out, and the covers alone, I was like, maybe I'll give it a shot. I know nothing about this series, to be completely honest, but I'll put the covers of all the volumes on here, and you tell me if I'm validated on going into this 100% blind. Okay, I think that's everything for manga. Not too ambitious, not too bad. I think it's pretty reasonable. We're gonna go through everything I read as far as books now. The first book I read this month is Villains Are Destined to Die, Volume 1 of the light novel. This is another book I've talked a lot about, but this is the light novel of the series Villains Are Destined to Die. It's originally, I'm pretty sure the manhwa comes first, but the back says the original novel behind the hit fantasy romance comic, so I'm not completely sure. But obviously, at least here, the manhwa was published before this was. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But basically, the story behind the series is a girl like falls asleep playing the hard level of a dating sim, and she wakes up as the villainess of the dating sim. And we see how she kind of tries to figure out what's going on and then kind of like how to get out. I loved reading this. I honestly cannot tell you if the manhwa is better or if this is better. I love both, but I don't know. I feel like I'm really enjoying the book more. I feel like you get a lot more of the characters and of the story and of just like the entire setting. I feel like reading is a much more personal experience, so maybe that's why I'm kind of leaning more towards this, even though reading as in reading books and reading manga is more personal for me. But I feel like reading books versus reading manga, books are definitely more personal, at least in my opinion. But I really enjoyed this. This was so much fun to read. I have notes. Something that I found really interesting that I'm pretty sure they did in the manhwa as well, but I guess it was just so much more obvious. Maybe we did get more in the book about this, but at least in the beginning, before she gets access to like choose her own words, there's a constant mention of feeling like she's a puppet and she's being controlled. Like if she chooses an option to eat food, she feels something forcing her to eat food. It's not like she's making that decision. And I just found that really interesting. I've read a lot of like isekai, or not read, but I've watched a lot of isekai, and I've even read some isekai like manga series. And something that's never mentioned is like the world before they got isekai'd, or their life before. And this is a series where that is constantly being brought up, and it's a big part of the story. And the fact that she's like in a game is also brought up. Like I said, she's being controlled by the decisions she makes, by like the prompts that she's being given and the options. If she picks one, she feels like something is controlling her body for it, like to do whatever that option was or to say whatever the prompt was. And it's just so interesting that I don't see often. I also haven't read many series like this, so if it's common, whatever, but to me it's not very often I see that. This is for like people that have read this series before, but something that I love reading this novel after having already read all the chapters out for the manhwa is the character Callisto is so like, at first, maybe, okay, if you have not read this and you don't want to be spoiled, move forward a little bit. But I love how before, when I was experiencing this story the first time, this character seemed like, oh, he's definitely not the love interest that she's gonna go for. Like, there's definitely not gonna be something that develops here, obviously, right? And then now reading it back, I'm like, he's so sassy. What a silly man. I love it. It's been such a fun experience, like kind of already knowing where certain things go, seeing it now where it wasn't so obvious. It's just been a good time. that's everything for this one. Now, the only other book I read this month was King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. This book has left me speechless. I was supposed to write notes. There's no notes. The funny thing is, when I started reading this book, I kept asking myself, do I really want to read this? I'm not really feeling grabbed by the story or the writing. Yet, any chance I got, I would sit down and continue reading this book, and all I can think about was this book. I kept going like, do I like this? I don't think I like this. Yet, all I thought about was the book. Just in a state of denial for some reason. But this book really seemed kind of like an 80s detective movie, if that makes any sense. And I mean that in like the best way possible. This was such a fun book. For a while, I'd say fun. It definitely does not continue being fun after a while, but for a while I would definitely call this a fun book. It's a fun, like, typical mystery thriller book. It's not too complicated. It's definitely easy to digest for a while, and then as it progresses, it definitely gets a lot more intense. But it's so good, because for the longest time there's certain parts of the story that kept getting brought up, and I would just think, like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, the story never really made me care about certain things until the end, and I realized how all the dots connected. And then I was like, no way. Like, there is a character. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna give any details, because this is a story you need to go in basically blind and just take the ride that S.A. Cosby is taking you on, and don't question things, because I questioned things and it was for no reason. I'm not gonna give details, but there's a character where the whole story, you kind of have this picture of the character, and this is also a character that's in the complete background. This person's not in the story at all. Basically, you're just being told about this character, and it's painting a very certain, like, a specific picture of this person, and then at the end you find something out that puts the entirety of what you've learned and what you've seen completely in a new perspective that just, like, punches you in the gut, basically. But just so, like, not expecting it at all. I remember reading the, like, revelation of what happened, and just having my jaw on the floor, putting yourself in that position and just realizing how incredibly, like, misjudged this character is, and how insane it must be for this character, who is previously seen as very kind of like cold, distant, not good. You're not given a good picture, and then to realize, well, this character should be so much worse with what this person went through. So just constant shifts in perspective is what you get in this story, and then just constant devastation. Like, once that happens, the rest of the book is just continuously punching you in the gut, and then you're left with just like this pit in your stomach, tears in your eyes, and just your jaw on the floor and speechless. That's how this book left me. I could not believe complete turn this book took, because at first it's very like you're just kind of on a ride, and then out of nowhere everything just crumbles in front of you and you're left completely shocked. It was great. This is definitely, I believe this is S.A. Cosby's most recent release. I definitely heard that his other books are a lot better, I guess, for lack of a better word. I will definitely be reading his other books. This was a great book. If you've been thinking about reading S.A. Cosby, do it. This is your sign. Now for my hopefuls for this month, which I forgot one. For my hopefuls, it's definitely a good amount of books. I'm hoping to get to all of them. I don't think I will, but a girl can dream. My first book that I want to talk about is Project Hail Mary. This would be a reread. I've actually already started it, like 20 pages in. But this is going to be a reread with my parents. My parents have not read it now because the movie's coming out, I think, later on this month. We're all reading it. I'm very excited. This is a book that I think this was like my second sci-fi book, and I loved it. This is also like a pretty sizable book, and I remember thinking there's no way I'm gonna get through this. I read this like when it came out, and I read it in like 2-3 days. I was so shocked, but the story is just great. It's a very like fun, I say pretty light book, and This is like the first book. We do this thing where we kind of chop the book up in 4 parts. So we read up to a certain page and then talk about it on like Friday. Once I get to that page for the first part, or each week, I'm gonna be reading another book as well. So the book I want to pick up first is this book. On Sundays She Picked Flowers. I've talked about this book already, so I won't get too much into it, but it is basically this girl runs away and she runs into the forest, and all I know is there's haunts, there's ghosts, there's all kinds of stuff, and that sounds very interesting. When I talked about this last time, I also talked about how I'm very interested in reading this because I had just finished the game South of Midnight. I'm just bringing that up so you guys can hear that again. If you're on PlayStation, wait until, I think it's spring. It's gonna come out in spring for PlayStation. It's not on Switch. I believe it's on PC and Xbox. I played it on Xbox, South of Midnight, just saying that. Because of that game, I am very interested in reading this. So this is gonna be what I pick up the second I'm done with my first part that I have to get to for this book. Very, very excited. Another book that I wanna read this month is the second light novel for Villains Are Destined to Die. This I'm not gonna say too much because it's a series, but I know it starts during the hunting game, whatever it's called. Very excited. I will say, I don't know who these characters are. They look so different from the manhwa, and I'm not happy about it. Like, you see that? Who is that? That's not my Penelope. Another book I want to read is the third light novel to the Apothecary Diaries. I've read the first 2, obviously, and I really want to get up to at least the 5th volume before October when season 3 comes out. I love to have read all the light novels that are for season 3, but I've clearly been slacking. So unless I really double down on the series, I don't think that's gonna happen. Another book I want to read, which I'm very excited for, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to because this is a book that I'm like, when I read it, it is getting all of my attention. I'm not rushing through it. I'm giving it all of my time. It is The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. This is the second book for the Burning series. The first book is Rage of Dragons, or The Rage of Dragons. There is so much I can say. The Rage of Dragons has become one of my top favorite books of all time. This is the second book. I'm worried to read this because the third book has not come out yet. Apparently it's gonna come out this year, but I need a paperback. So if you wanna give me a paperback copy, Evan Winter, I'd greatly appreciate it. But the third book comes out maybe this year, and it has been years between each release. And the hold that this series has on me, it took me so long to pick up another book after I read Rage of Dragons, and I have still been worried to get into another like complete fantasy book because it's not going to live up to what I felt reading that book. I don't care what it is, it's not going to. That's the same thing that happened to me with like Sword of Kaigen. When I read that, it took me months to read another book, or to read another fantasy book. So this is book 2. If it's not this month, it's gonna have to be a month where I don't have a lot that I'm planning to read, because if this is the only book I read that month, that's perfectly fine. This deserves all my attention, all my time, as much as it needs. And then I'm gonna definitely need a good amount of time to process it. But if you haven't read Rage of Dragons, please. The last book that I want to read that I'm hoping to get to for March is Cruelty Free. I've already talked about this as well, but this is about a Hollywood star. She retires when she has a kid, I believe. Don't know all the details. I just know she's a Hollywood star. She retires and then she comes back after her daughter gets kidnapped, and she has a skincare brand and something about revenge. So excited about that. I've heard that this is very similar to Natural Beauty by Ling Huang. That is another one of like my favorite books. It's one of my top favorite horror books. So that's why I picked this. Now for anime. So I already did a video kind of talking through my anime series that I'm currently watching and what I feel about them. So I'm not gonna go into detail about any of this, just to let you know what I'm watching. I'm watching Dark Moon, The Blood Altar, I think it's called. I'm watching Naruto. I'm now at the end of season 5. Still loving it, still going strong. I'm so excited to see what happens. If you know, you know, I've cried, or almost cried, the last couple episodes, and I'm just waiting to be proven wrong now. And that is what is pushing me to continue watching. I'm watching You and I Are Polar Opposites. Loving season 2 of Frieren. Tamons B side. Loving all of that. I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen. I talked about how like I have no idea what's going on, but I'm loving the ride. I might stop and then rewatch it at some point. I feel like I didn't give it enough attention when I was watching it. I was kind of watching it as like my show for when I'm cooking, because that's what I did with Love is War, and loved it. It was a great time. Every time I went to cook, I would play the show, and that's how I completed the entire show. So I really enjoyed it. I don't think Jujutsu Kaisen is one of those shows, so I'm gonna stop now and I'm gonna rewatch it at some point. And then Kaya-chan is not scary. I still have to continue that. I watched episode 1. I've heard a lot about it now. I'm really excited to get into it again. I just need to actually, like, we need to continue. But all I've been watching is Naruto. So Naruto, and then the new episodes of Dark Moon and Tamons B. And then another show I've added since making that video is Seventh Time Loop, I think is what it's called. This show is basically this girl. She has relived her life 6 times. And every time she does something grand, like becoming a guard or going overseas to study, she does something amazing. She does a lot of hard work, but at the end of every life, she is killed by this one man. And she basically decides on her 7th time living her life, that she is going to do absolutely nothing but relax. And she actually, I don't know if that's in the synopsis. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm having a great time watching this. I've actually had this on my list for a really long time, so I'm really happy to get to it now. As I've been waiting for every episode to come out for Tamons B and Dark Moon, I've just wanted a romance, and this is exactly the kind of romance I wanted, so great show. My hopefuls as far as anime goes, this is more for the spring season of anime than just like March. Okay, so the series I'm hoping to get to, the first one is called Liar Game. I'm going into all of these series completely blind. Every season I just go through the list on my anime list, and I just pick ones that sound interesting and I just watch them. So all I know about this is there's a girl that is very honest and a guy that is like very manipulative or like very good at lying or has a poker face. I don't know. And they team up to play a tournament of, I guess, poker or something like that. I feel like I'm completely wrong and I'm completely missing the mark on there, but that's what I have in mind for that series that made me want to watch it. So giving that to you. The next one is Marriage Toxin. I've actually tried reading the manga a long time ago. I read like the first chapter and then I just dropped it because it was just a ton of other things I was reading. And then I tried reading it again, I think in December or November of last year, when I saw that the anime was coming out, and I've just had, again, so many other things that I'm reading that at this point the anime is coming out so soon, so I'm just gonna wait for the anime to come out. So I'm excited for it. I know that it's a guy, he's like an assassin, and he's told that either he has to find a wife so that he can have a kid for their estate to continue the name or something, and he does that because if not, his sister would need to do that, and he wants his sister to be happy. That's all I know, and that might be completely wrong, but I read the first, I think, volume of the manga, and I was very entertained. I loved it. I'm really excited to continue the series by watching the anime, and honestly might pick up the manga again after the season. The next one is The Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King. All I know is that there's a warrior princess and there's a barbaric king. Next. Oh, obviously, Witch Hat Atelier, right? I don't need to explain what this is about. Everyone knows what this is about. This should also be on your wanna watch list. I'm very excited for this. I actually have the first 3 volumes of the manga, and again, so many other things I wanted to read, so I was just constantly reading something else. But I have never gotten rid of the manga because I'm like, it's gorgeous. I read like I either read the first volume or the first few chapters and loved it. So I definitely know I like the series. So I don't want to get rid of that. But now I've been waiting for the anime, which I'm very excited for, because what I do remember about this is that it is gorgeous, and I hope that the amount of time we've had to wait for this anime is because of how amazing it's gonna look. So that's all I have on like my wanna watch list for March or the spring season. Now for games, funny thing, I've been actually looking for the next game I want to play, and I haven't really been able to find anything. I finished South of Midnight, which again, amazing game, phenomenal. I had a great time playing. It's a gorgeous game, beautiful story, beautiful like game. And it's kind of just left a void, and I've been trying different games out, but nothing feels like that, so I've been dropping them. And now finally Nintendo or Game Freak released the we got Pokemon LeafGreen on the Switch, so now that's what I'm playing. That's what I'm playing now. I don't know how long I'm gonna play it. I'm playing it until I finish the game, until I've played it enough to where I'm bored out of my mind looking at Pokemon again, which is what I do at least once a year. So yeah, that's everything. Those are all my plans for the next month. Hopefully I get to all of them. I'm really excited for it. I'm so happy I got to do my first monthly wrap up. These are the primarily the videos I watch on YouTube, so to finally not just be able to make my own YouTube videos and have my own YouTube channel, but to now make a video like this, I'm so excited to continue doing this. If I did a good job, let me know. If I didn't, subscribe. So yeah, yeah, okay, bye.